is only war.
It's always funny, like when you hit record, you have to like smile. Like when is the smile gonna start? All right, what is up, gents? Welcome back to another 40K Dirtbags episode. Today we're joined with the Mastercrafted YouTube guys. We got Phil and Lane on the disc or the podcast. So guys, welcome. They just started YouTube 7 months ago, 8 months ago. So
yeah, I think it was late February, early March. So we've been, just decided to dive in, and it's been going great, man. We're super stoked to get to interact with the community, and it's been growing so well, and we're just so thankful to really get to talk to all you 40K players.
Been crushing it lately, so we wanted to get you on. Kevo actually found you guys. He's like, yo, you got to check these guys out. They're fucking awesome. They're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, and teaching the right stuff, which is really what we try to do at the 40K Dirtbags. It's like, you have to know the core rules, and all your videos are going over like the core rules of getting better at 40K. So welcome, guys. Can't wait to talk about this podcast about everything. There's only our third episode, so it's really cool to have like a brand new guys like you guys that are crushing it on YouTube on the channel already. So Kevo, let's get into what we got going on for today.
Yeah, so I found you guys, it was the Mind Over Meta video, and it was just in my feed, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll check this out. And then I really liked what you guys were doing. The layout video, the layout series was really awesome. Yep. And then my middle son, Jace, he got into Death Watch because of Space Marine and Space Marine 2, the video game and stuff. And we were talking about how to play it. And I was like, let me just quick go on YouTube. And I saw Death Watch at the Tacoma. It was Tacoma, right? When you played that.
Utah.
Oh, right, Utah. And then I was like, oh, dude, I was like, Jace, this dude's playing them. And I clicked on it and I saw it was you. I was like, oh, dude. So I sent the boys your channel. I was like, hey, you can see this dude play now. And then I saw what you were playing into. I was like, oh my goodness. So anyway, yeah, you guys want to do quick introduction? Phil, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Phil Schwan. I'm based out of Denver. I've been playing 40K competitively for just about 4 years. But I started when I was a little kid, a broke little kid. My first army was Space Wolves. I vividly remember buying Logan Grimnar in metal. Nice. I was so excited because it was like my first model, and I was like so excited to play Space Marines, but I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't start playing competitively just about 4 years ago. And it's been great getting back into the community. 9th edition was great. 10th edition was great. And I really enjoyed how 40K competitively has evolved in terms of the meta and stuff like that. And it's something that I really enjoy talking about. And thankfully, I have a great community here with Lane and all the guys at Denver 40K Fight Club and Thundercluckers. And just like this region as a whole has a great community. So you go to these events, and that probably what makes it for me and allows me to keep coming back and keep playing and enjoying myself, is just like how good the community is. And it makes it a lot more enjoyable for sure. Absolutely. So yeah, that's just like a little bit of me in a nutshell.
Cool. Awesome. What about you, Lane?
Yeah, I didn't know what 40K was until like 7 years ago. I'm from Laramie, Wyoming. I grew up on a ranch, so like this wasn't in my sphere at all. But you make friends as you go through college and stuff, and started playing D&D, and then they're like, oh, check this out. So I started playing, got into Guard, and I didn't start playing competitively until about a year and a half ago. Some of those game buddies were like, hey, we're going down to Denver. They got a GT coming in January. You should go. And so I'm just like finally getting all my painting done, so it's not just gray, actually committing to the hobby and stuff, and been playing Guard ever since. And, in the first year, I was in the negative on my batting average. I was below 500. I finally, this March, went to having more wins than losses.
Nice.
But, just because the Denver community is so strong, I've just been able to learn so fast because they just sharpen you up so well. And we just really wanted to give back to that same community that's made us, so good ourselves. So that's why we're here.
Can I ask how many models you have in your list?
Not a ton. I run 3 Dorns, 12 Bolgren, Leman Russ Exterminator, and 40 Guardsmen. Okay. And we try to not go more than 40 Guardsmen.
So you're the Dorn list.
I know
gotcha.
Phil gives me shit all the time for not just Nemoing it up, but I literally do not have the mental capacity or the drive to do that for 6 games in a weekend.
Oh, God,
there's just no way. I'm done
Yeah.
after 2 if I'm playing that list. I'm just like, screw this. I'm out of here.
That's
Dude,
funny.
I played Nemo last LVO when he had his Halo themed guard army, and the first question was, "Do you know what Halo is?" I was like, "Yeah, Halo is great." And he like opens up his thing. I was like, "Oh, dude, it's all Halo themed." So knowing Halo lore knowledge like helped identify the units, but he crushed me because it was generally the same list as before, and I was like, "Wrong universe, Nemo." I'm like, "Get this Halo shit out of 40K." But yeah, it was great. Yeah, so saw you guys walking by at the end of LVO, and so the blue and white jerseys caught my attention. I was like, "Hey, Mastercrafted dudes," and yeah, so you guys killed it. Both went 5-1. Congrats, awesome job. So
And congrats on hitting 1,500 on YouTube. That's a huge milestone to start. Like once you hit 1,000, 1,500, it just fucking takes off from there. So I'm sure you guys will hit 3,000 real soon. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. We actually just had our first stream game, and we had 26 subs, which is like way more in a single day than we've like ever had by a ton. We're just like, all right, cool. Well, we're just ride the wave. But sorry, yes, yeah.
When you start seeing like the double digit of subs in a day, you're like, yes, fucking feels so good. That was like yesterday for us.
I had a question about the streaming games you guys did. I saw it, and so I was trying to look at it later because I was looking for one of the matchups. But you guys basically, it was like multiple games throughout the day, right? You guys just threw the cameras on, and you wanted to talk about like that a little bit. What was the idea, intent? You guys got a studio now, I think. One of you guys said that, maybe.
Yeah, so our first game was like we just wanted to like go diving in because we knew that we aren't familiar with the stream setup, and we weren't necessarily familiar of the flaws and errors. We had done plenty of watching on YouTube, and Joel from War Games Live, we talked to him often, and just to get like advice and feedback because he does an incredible job when he streams. And huge shout out to War Games Live. I don't think this hobby would be where it's at in terms of national and global coverage if it wasn't for like the sacrifice he makes in terms of traveling. So for us, we were like, we know we're gonna mess this up real bad, so we're like, might as well just go out there, stream, and figure it out as we go along, because we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna find out things that we need that we don't have. We know we have the physical assets, we know we have the cameras we need and stuff like that, so we're like, hey, let's bring a couple guys in. Let's play back-to-back games. The first game was between myself and John Kilcommons. He's a number 2 top player in the world right now. He's a guy in our local Denver community. He's fantastic, and he and I play often into each other. But I was like, hey, just come on. We'll figure it out. Like, we'll go from there. The next game, it was better and better because we were able to update a few things and identify a few things we made mistakes on. And then the most recent game we did, which was between Drukhari and Orcs, Nick Rosasco, who is the number 4 Drukhari player in the world behind Skari and Cody Giroux, and he is right up there. And then one of our good buddies, Ryan, who's a fantastic Orcs player. And that one was like the most streamlined we had it. Like Lane and I weren't even there in the room. And we've got it so efficient now that we don't have to be there. We can bring 2 people into this room that we have set up. The audio works, the cameras work. We have everything going. We have a few like glam things that we're going to add to it now, but it's gotten a lot more streamlined. It was all just because we were afraid that we were going to mess it up, but we just jumped right into it, and that has worked out for us. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. You have to just
have to go. Yeah, you just have to literally just do it. Like our first stream game was fucking brutal. It was so bad. Eventually, you just learn, like you said, you learn from your mistakes, but people won't realize it until you actually put it out there, and then you're like, all right, you get some feedback, you're like, all right, maybe we'll do that. The first time our mics were so bad, I literally had a mic sitting on the table from like 10 feet away, and you could barely hear us, but we had the best conversations going on, and then we go back and listen to it, like, shit, we didn't hear any of that. So you don't know until like you put it on the thing, but just throw it out there. People will comment and let you know what the hell to get better at. So
yeah, rest assured, the internet will tell you when you get an interaction wrong, and it's like, yep, got it, thanks, man.
It also helps out though. Like I didn't learn from Spawn until 3 comments on YouTube that how the Spawn actually work in Death Guard. So the comments help out a ton on YouTube. So But I mean, that'll basically get us into the whole idea of this episode is really just like building better gamers. The mindset, the sharpening your blade, and kind of like just learning from your mistakes and getting better. So like when you're going into first like LVO, when you guys are stepping up to the table, how many GTs have you really gone to this year? If you were to like, can you count on one hand? Did you do 5 this year? Over 5?
I think we're probably at least double digits. I think we're probably around the dozen mark.
Okay, so you had a lot of GT practice then.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with that going up to it, when you're going up to like the table, can you kind of see before you even start deploying kind of how the matchup's going to go, how the game's going to go, kind of like getting into that mindset of like reading your player? Because we just had an emotional intelligence episode, and you kind of really have to see how that person is before you even start putting the clock down. Did you guys have that at LVO going 5-1? Like, did that help you out at all?
I would say as far as like there's certain steps to it, right? Like first, before I even get to the table, right, we see who our pairing is, we read the list. And then you kind of make like your initial assessment, right? How do I feel like I'm doing into this? And then I get to the table, I'm trying to read the person a little bit. You know, not only are you a World Eaters player, but you seem like the type of World Eaters player who's just going to yeet themselves at me, right? If I can tell that, that's great information. And then lastly is after deployment. Those are like the 3 steps of trying to read how well the game is going to go. I feel like from the initial point, because you can kind of have an idea, but until you really see where they put their models on the table, I feel like it can be really hard to discern how accurate that initial feeling was. But I really try to put all 3 of those things. You know, what do you have? What kind of vibe am I getting from you? And where did you actually put your stuff?
Let me ask you something, Lane. So, because our main World Leaders player, Nolan, locally, he is a, how do you describe him? He finishes games faster than anyone I know. Like he'll be done in 30 minutes. And but it's also like opponent dependent, right? So if he plays me playing CSM or some other player, like I would say he's like a defensive World Eaters player. And then, you know, so I kind of got used to that. And then I was playing just a rando guy at Nova 2 years ago, and it was generally the same list. And in my head, I was like, oh, he's probably going to be like Nolan. And then Angron's in my deployment zone turn 1, and I was like, shit. So let me ask you this. What do you use to gauge them? Are they going to yeet, or are they going to like, what's your barometer?
Honestly, I mean, I don't know if this is like kind of like, you know, like poker table etiquette or something, where you're like, I just kind of like throw out jokes and stuff and like kind of like, oh yeah, you're just gonna run at me and see what they say. Like, who cares? You know, like if you're willing to tell me like, yeah, man, I'm coming for you, I'll be like, all right, cool. I'm not gonna like full commit to that as like my game plan. I'm still gonna be prepared for you to play aggressive or to play passively. I need to be ready for whatever you do. But like, if you're like willing to be like, oh yeah, man, this is how my games go against you, I'm gonna be like, great, thank you for telling me. Like, if you are willing to tell me how every time you've played guard you just run them over, I will 100% be like, yes, please yeet all of your stuff into my -1 damage Bulgrin. I appreciate you, and then I'll kill you. It's fine. You know, like I don't know. That's generally where it's at for me. Is I just try to have conversation. Like you're not going to get a gauge off of somebody without actually engaging with people, and that's one of the funnest parts of 40K is getting to, you know, meet people, interact with them, and it's not all just for like my master plan to get to, you know, some info on how you're going to play the game. I just generally enjoy, you know, let's give each other shit and have a good time.
It just sounds like the whole game psychology behind 40K is so much deeper than just like putting your models on the table and going. You're fucking reading if this guy's gonna crash into you before you even deploy the models. Like, oh, what'd you do against your last guard player? Oh, I ran into him turn 1. Cool. Deploy 12 inches back.
Run at me, bro.
Shit,
that's great.
I dare you. Do it. You won't. Oh god, there's so many people that like will try and talk you into bad decisions, or like like mind warfare while you're deploying. Like, hey, remember my guy can threaten 36 inches. Yeah, if you roll a 12, a 6, a 6, and then another 12, yeah, you can threaten 36 inches. Of course you can. But they don't say that, you know? So like a lot of times you have to realize what they're saying or doing to you, because then you might get bullied in that psychological warfare and then kind of ruins your game. Because great example against my orc player on day 2. He couldn't deploy his orc, the big knob boss guy, Gazgul. You guys will realize that I don't know the names of anything. So the Gazgul can deploy his model. Like, we were playing Search and Destroy, which is perfect for orcs. He couldn't put Gazgul in the ruin under without being seen. So I was like, hey, I can see him, his little backpack. He's like, oh shit, like I don't want to put him there. I was like, yeah, just put him like wherever you don't want to be seen. Like, I didn't tell him where to put it, but then he moved him like 6 inches back behind the ruin. And I'm like, okay, cool. When we started the game, he countercharged and couldn't get Gaz on the other side of the wall, so then Gaz couldn't pile in or consolidate on the other side of the wall because base is so big, right? So like that little thing is like, hey, I can see you. So he redeployed him. You know, it's like that kind of warfare where like, shit, now he's like in my head, you know, yada. So like shit like that, you have to kind of see, is he doing that on purpose? Is he not doing that on purpose? Like, should he just said, fuck it, shoot him, I don't care. I'll horde move into you, like AC/DC. There's so much that goes into the game like you don't even realize, but you I'm sure you learn from it. Like, once you got that done before, you're like, hey, I know that World Eaters can get into me 8 inches automatically. That won't ever happen again. But you don't know until it actually happens, especially with the Mike, what are they called? The fucking Hellbrutes that can YOLO across the table.
The endless fighting 6-inch pile and consolidate.
They die first.
Brutal.
Every time.
Yeah.
No matter what.
What about you, Phil?
For me, in terms of evaluating opponent, I think it's all about the questions that they ask. So I have been known to run some weird lists and weird armies, in the sense that like they are unique. So like my Death Watch, the player base is incredibly small, partially because of the models you have to buy to run it, right? Like, you're running 6 different versions of infantry Space Marines, and you're just like, oh, do you have Desolation Marines? Do you have Hellblasters? Do you have like aggressors? You know, all of these different kinds. So you're putting all this stuff together. So it's already a unique army, and not many people run it. I run my GSC. I run Final Day in GSC. I run Outlander Claw. Like, I do the off the beaten path things, which is partially because I enjoy those armies, and also partially because like it fits my playstyle really, really well. When I get up to the table, a lot of players may have said, oh, I've only played GSC or Deathwatch once or never. I've never played against Final Day or whatever the case is. A good player trying to identify information will ask the right questions. And we talked about this a lot on our channel because it's really, really important. You don't need experience into every army, but you do need experience into what that army does. And there are certain traits across all of these armies. So if we said advance and charge, fall back and charge, fall back and shoot, you have the ability to go through walls, so on and so forth, ignore cover, whatever the case is. A good player is going to find the information that they need, like right there, to get ready for a game, and then another player will maybe not ask those questions. It's not going to stop me from giving that information, but it means that they're not turned on to what information they actually need, which is really, really important, especially when you're playing better and better players and playing armies you have an experience with. Not everyone has the capabilities that we do to play a bunch of games of 40K. So you need to be able to like walk up to a table and be like, I haven't played this army before, but I know what information I need to like deal with this, right? So yeah, if they ask no questions or they're like, run me through your list, and they don't ask any follow-up stuff, like, I only have so much information that I can give you, and I'll give you all the big stuff, I'll tell you all my strats, but you really need to like hone in on the good stuff, and good players will identify that, and other players they won't, and I'm already thinking like, well, I have ways to take advantage of this now.
Yeah, you can definitely start chunking armies into their capabilities. At Nova this year, it was the first time I went into Subterranean. And so he's explaining the 6-inch, deep strike to me. And the way he explained it didn't really make sense, but I know what 6-inch deep strike is. So in my head, I was like, okay, I'm just going to play it like, like other armies that can do that. And then the first time he did it, he was like doing a bunch of things, and I'm like, hey, I was like, I'm sorry, can we just move all this terrain out? Just show me how this all works. And he did it, and I was like, oh, this is like incursion, like demons. He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then he never made a little subterranean hole past 6 inches of his deployment zone. I was like, nope, we're not doing this. So, get on my bikes forward. I was like, I am not doing that. Letting him do that. But Yeah, 100%.
Phil, you stated a bunch of good things there where you don't have to be a master at 40K. Like, especially if you're brand new. Like, our channels are both like geared towards newer players and getting people into the core rules. Myself included, like, I don't know shit about the game. I know the core rules, I know my armies, and I know what questions to ask. Like you just said, you could do a whole hour-long podcast video about like what specific question you should be asking every single time. Because what Keevil's example, if you know they have 6-inch deep strike, well, now you can compare it to what you've seen before and like gear towards that 6-inch deep strike. So you're 100% right, where if you just ask the right questions every single time, even though you never played that army before, you can kind of like use what you've played before and just match that up. So knowing the core rules and what questions to ask, great way to make a good player into a great player, even while not knowing every army out there, because there's so much shit to memorize. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you're right. It's impossible. I've only played GSC once, so crazy. Death Watch once.
Yeah, two of our friends around here both got pulled into playing GSC for their next teams tournament, and then they used Nova as the practice for all of it. So like I'm getting smashed by GSC by the melee pre-nerf, so the melee one and the shooting one, and I had my kids over to the house and everything, and my son walks over, is like, "Dad, did you even kill anything?" I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, I don't want to talk about it. I was like, they just keep coming back. But something for me is and I've been pretty busy this year, so I couldn't make as many GTs as I wanted to last year. And so I definitely try to pay attention to the meta loosely, and so of course I'll listen. I think Trevi from Tactical Tortoise does a great job of just giving like an overview of the weekend, and so I'll listen to that like usually every Monday morning, and then if I talking in the different discords, like what are the new things out there that I need to be aware of. I think before Death Guard and Knights both got hit, like to me I thought like usually the top of the meta is very different than what the mid tables are going to experience, and then everyone else. But I thought this year was a little unique, where I mean there are plenty of Death Guard players all over the place, and there's plenty like across the spectrum between top tables and bottom tables, and then also Knights. So I was like, shit, like you're gonna see this all over the place, even if they just are new to the army or even just new to the game. Like they're just stat checking you like purely based off of rules and data sheets. So for me, not having a lot of time, I do a lot of like research prior, and I'll specifically look for channels if I can find a battle report. Like Phil, I was telling you, my son getting into Death Watch, it's the worst army to buy for a 15-year-old, because I'm like, yep, I guess we got to buy another box of whatever. and anyway, yeah, so I was looking for videos, and it was the Utah Open, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and you were playing on stream, and I was like, oh, perfect. And so we're building models, we're painting. I live in a studio apartment now, so it's like a giant kids room basically with some Marine Corps shit all over the place. And so we got like, you're streaming on the TV, we're building the models, and then I saw it was you. I was like, oh shit, it's the Mastercrafted guys. So for me, I do a lot of, and I talk about this a lot on the Discords, where my mindset is if I don't have enough time to do the things like practice games or RTTs or even GTs, I do a lot of homework on the front end, just between deployments, between like what are the things that I'm going to see across the entire spectrum of a GT, and that's what helps me kind of have a better idea of what I'm going to see potentially.
You have really good habits, Mike, as well. Like your habits in 40K make you so consistent in what you do, especially with prepping for GTs. But when you guys are practicing for GTs, what are some things that you guys do that you do repetitively every single time before you go into a GT? Like what are some things that stand out to you? Like I do this every single time before I even get to the GT, the night before. Phil or
Go ahead,
Lane. you
No,
guys,
it's all-
you
it's
guys
all
crushed
Phil. You
LVO, so
got
we're
this,
like
buddy.
interviewing you now.
Yeah. So GTs are really interesting because the best part about being in Denver is like I have the capabilities to travel. So I have like Montana, I have Wyoming, I have Denver, and then we've flown a few times. Went down to Arizona, I went to Utah. So the nice part about it is like all those GTs are great. And for me, it's an even playing field as long as I know the terrain pack and stuff like that. I'm pretty much good to go. The things that I do prior to is I usually don't look at opponent lists as a whole. I'll just look for players' names that I know. Or thankfully we have a big enough community that I'm like, hey, I'm heading down to Utah. Anyone that's been down there, who are the best players, so on and so forth. That way I can take a look at those lists and go from there. For me, terrain and missions are the only two things I actually care about going into a GT. Like, I'm relatively confident in my list building abilities. I'm relatively confident in like my play style and how I score. And this would be, I would say, the most important thing for a player who feels like they're stable in that essence of the game. If they're stable in their list building and they're stable in like their understanding of the core rules, the only thing you need to look at past that is terrain and mission, because those can be the end all be all of your success. I'll give you a good example. I went to a little RTT this weekend up in Wyoming just to get some practice before our next teams tournament. And the second mission was terraform on search and destroy. So I knew as a GSC player, I was like, I'm going to terraform all three objectives. If I go first, I'm going to sticky all three objectives because I'm running Outlander Claw, and I'm going to win the game if I win the roll-off. Like, the game is going to be over. I played my good buddy Andy, who's running Imperial Knights, and normally this would be a good matchup. Like, I have to chew through a lot of stuff. I'm not running a bunch of mining lasers, and he's relatively durable. But because it was terraform and because it was search and destroy, I was just like, and I went first, so I was like, sticky, terraform, and nothing else matters. It's done. It's done at that point. And I knew going round two, like I was going to play someone who won and who also got a high differential. So I was expecting to score a lot turn one or game one. I did. I played into a great player game two, and I knew that army like GSC was going to carry me over the finish line into a mission like Terraform. So just that one simple vision was there. But if I first the foe, I'd be like, ooh, maybe GSC is not what we take here, because Purge the Foe, especially in the later rounds, is like, if I saw that into round 5 of a GT, I'm like, GSC, round 5, I'm probably going to be playing one of the top players. Like, I don't necessarily love that matchup unless it's into something that's as equally hordy as I am.
Nice. What about you, Lane?
I agree with Phil on pretty much on all the points, and kind of to answer the question, right, of like, what do you do to prepare? It's mostly focused on knowing your own stuff, right? Do maybe a little deployment prep. Not only look at those terrain layouts, but maybe actually, if you're a very visual and you need kind of the repetition, put your models on a table if you can, or go into TTS and be like, this is my turn 1. This is where I'm going to be advancing into, and kind of get those early turns out of the way, because most games, and it was actually, I think with Art of War, TJ Lanigan was on, and he was talking about most games are decided by the end of the first turn based off the movement phases alone, and stuff, because you see how the trades are going to go, and so that's the part that I think is really important, is understand how on certain missions and on certain terrain, where you're going with your deployment and your first turn movement, and like that's almost 80% of the battle right there, is knowing your list, where it needs to go, and that. And I mean, honestly, we've been grinding. This past weekend was the first weekend in 11 weeks I haven't been somewhere for like a tournament or something. So like, we're not getting practice games. It's just the previous tournament was the practice game, and then we're tweaking lists from there, I guess. But if it wasn't for the grind, it would be the Colorado Springs where Phil's at. They have a weekly get together, and going to things like that where people are constantly just working on their game. I think that's just the best thing you can do, is keep working on understanding your army to do better at GTs. Don't be worrying about what so-and-so is doing. It doesn't matter. You need to know your stuff first.
You said something awesome, and I was having a conversation with oh my goodness, dude, we talk like every other day. Justin Serrano. He's one of the top demon players. And we were coming back from a Nova prep a couple months ago, and he lost to Mark Hurdle playing Deathwatch, and I think they didn't time out, but there was quite a bit of conversation towards the end, and we were talking about it driving back, and he's like, dude, like, both our armies uppy downy. He's like, we were just having conversation about the what ifs and the sequencing of 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. And he's like, we were just talking like quite a bit of the time. And then I was listening to, I think it was Modern Wisdom. I don't know if you guys listen to that podcast. If you don't, I'll throw it in the chat. Super awesome. But it was an entrepreneur, and they were talking about, like, most people in general, they're talking about second and third order effects. And that's a big phrase in the military that I think people use wrong most of the time. But in terms of business, he was saying that most people only think of the immediate consequences of their actions, right? They don't think of, well, what's the consequence of the consequence? What are the follow-on effects of me making these decisions? And so, in a weird way, like, that was the conversation in the car. And Justin was like, dude, he's like, I think at least 2 turns ahead. If this happens, I think in response to this, and then my response to the response. And I was like, damn, dude, I kind of only think about what is happening next turn. And so, Phil, like, how far to the future do you kind of think, as far as like long term within 5 rounds of 40K?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually got asked that on stream last time I was playing. So I think absolutely fair. I probably, majority of the times, if like beginning of the game, I'm thinking turn 4, turn 5. I will think through, not in like a general specific sense, but majority of the time it's like the trades that are going to happen. Because I can tell based on the units that you have in reserve and the units that you have on the board and where they're deployed is what is reasonably going to trade. Like, I can tell, like, okay, this unit is going to be in position to trade turn 1, right? When I go up and pressure your natural. Okay, that unit comes out, great, I trade into that. Okay, there's only so many like general solutions for an issue, as long as you have a good understanding of what your opponent's army can do. And this is why, like, as I said in the beginning, and y'all have said over and over again, and I think it's like all over your channel and all the videos that I've watched, is like, you need to understand what your army does. And if you understand what your army does, it will get you to the end of the game. And then if you ask the right questions for what your opponent's army does, you will find the solution. So for me, because I have a good understanding of my army and my rules, it means I don't have to like spend brain power to do it. I know exactly what this unit is capable of doing. I know the rules for this. I don't have to look it up. I can just go and execute. And then when I play against someone, I can spend all my energy on evaluating what it is that they're doing. So for me, like, I probably go turn 4, turn 5. Especially because, it's just the way you have to play to win. Especially against great opposition, which we have in spades, and then all the tournaments we go to, and Lane and I having goals of like winning GTs and doing all that stuff. Well, I got Ben Neal in my backyard, and Ben Neal does not leave home unless he's planning to win a tournament, or win a GT or go to an LVO final. Like, he's just like that type of player. But he is one of probably 20 or 30 guys that are, top of their faction or top of the country. So you have to kind of think that way to play into those guys. But you can as well. So for everyone watching or listening to this podcast, you can as well. You can think till turn 4, turn 5. That is not because of some kind of like secret tech or juju, or is like something that we have. We just have a good understanding of our armies. So all of our energy we can spend towards like evaluating our opponent, versus, I don't know how effective my unit is here. No, I know how effective it is. I've run it. I know the data sheet. We can go.
What about you, Lane? How far are you thinking 4 and 5 in the beginning?
I guess I think of it a little differently. I am generally thinking of, I just want problems in the pocket. It would be like the best way to phrase it. As a guard player, I have an excess of trash generally, or I just have some Volgren, which are generally just, people have to overcommit to kill them almost every time. So it's kind of one of those things where I might not have the exact turns, but it is still the trades, right? I'm looking at, well, this is going to force a response, and if I'm playing on this angle, that should be the thing to take it, or, you know, this is the closest melee asset, so you're going to be there, so that means my tank needs to be here. So I think of the game more, I guess, in those terms. If somebody wants to full yeet their army, if I have, you know, secondaries that come up and I'm like, all right, well, now I'm putting 3 to 4 things out, I need to be prepared for what they're gonna, you know, bring out to deal with it, and how I will effectively kind of make that next trade. I would say I'm generally like, I'm a guard player who's just always waiting to just put the you know, the pedal on the floor. So I'm just like, here's a little bit, and then as soon as they bite, I'm like, well, we're sending it. Can you deal with 12 Bulgrin and 3 Dorns in a turn? And if you can't, then I probably win this game. But that's, you know, that's just my general game plan playing that army. Yeah, so I would say it's less of by the turn. In reality, I guess that would probably be about 2 turns ahead, just because of the trades available. But, you know, we're always ready to send it because, you know, we're here to party.
I think this game is very reactive, honestly. Like, you have to see, because you're playing another person. Like, the other person has to make their own decisions and put shit where they think it's going to be best. But if you don't, the game's won on movement, honestly. Like, if you don't set up the correct way to counter what they're going to do, then you're screwed. There's a lot of times if you're playing Death Guard and the Death Guard drops in their 280 point unit, Death Shroud unit, to go steal an objective, well, now they're there for the rest of the game. You literally are running the complete opposite direction of them because, hey, good, go camp that point for 5 points or whatever. I'm going to steal the other 3 points on the other side of the table. So being reactive to what they do is huge. And if you have, we talk about this all the time, turn 1. If you don't set up for turn 1, even just setting up the table, we have a new secondary now, which we had, I think, in 9th edition, called Tempting Target. If you don't have an easy Tempting Target turn 1, like 5 points, or Area Denial, or Focus, or Locus, Cleanse, like all these turn 1 actions, if you can't do those or you didn't set up properly, you're going to lose the game just based off of deployment, movement, turn 1. So it is very reactive. So setting up for fucking 4 turns like ahead of time, like, new guys don't see that and be like, well, I'm fucked. Go with the lane approach where it's like, hey, whatever they do, if they take my bait, yeet, like, here's my whole fucking army. Like, see how they react. But if you set up properly, you're gonna react to what they do and then be good. So it's about knowing your army. Knowing your data sheets was huge, because if you don't know your data sheets, you're wasting so much time at a GT setting looking up the phone, looking up the data sheets, all that stuff. There's been so many times where either clock is an issue or you're clocking yourself or whatever it may be. Practice, first off, my thing is practicing like an hour and 10 before a GT, so that way you know you have an extra 20 minutes to play, 10 or 20 minutes on the clock. So if you're practicing an hour and 10 minute games, you're probably going to be good in an hour and 30 at a GT. But also knowing your data sheets. If you're confident, like when I first started, I think the middle of 9th, where I really started picking up competitive play, I would literally go through my phone and just study, like almost back in college, just study the data sheet, everything you need to know. So that way you're like closing it, you're like, all right, what was the strength? 6-2-1, 6-3-1, like, and you're just studying it every single time. So that way when you go to the RTT, you're 100% confident that if they ask you what's the profile, you're like 6-2-2. 10-2-3, blast, whatever. Like, you know it 100%, so that way you're not wasting your time and going through it, right? Now, if they ask you, like, hey, can you show me the rule? Obviously, you have to pick up and show them, right? But you're 100% confident. You're not wasting brain power, like you said, Phil, where you're wasting brain power and time on knowing your own rules. You should know your rules, so that way your brain power goes to more thinking turn 3, 4, 5, where the game's going to go. So 100% what you guys said, I agree, 100%. What we preach on the channel is knowing your shit before going to a GT and practicing time, practicing clock, and practicing little repetitions of tweaks. I'm sure you guys, before you went to the GT, you practiced the same list over and over and only tweaked it slightly. Like, you didn't go from one detachment to another detachment, Keeble, or like one army to another army. Like, you practiced every single time one detachment of like what you really wanted to test, and then tweak like maybe one list, this meltas or plasmas, like little shit like that, until you figure out, yes, this is my list, and then you kept practicing that over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I only had about 250, 300 points in my Death Watch list that I was adjusting at all. Everything else, like the other 750 or 1750, was set. Like I was taking this no matter what. It was that last 250, 300 that was the part that was going to be flexible one way or another.
What because you had mentioned this at LVO when you talked about the Desolation Marines, and then I was watching Happy Crumpin Wargamer the other day, and
So
he was talking about them, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna run the store real quick, buy them, paint them up, and then I thoroughly enjoyed them. But what was the decision point for you to switch and bring the Desolation Marine? Well, that's an Indominus kill team, right?
Fortis.
Fortis. Okay, I need to know the terms for my son. So, okay, Fortis kill team, got it. So, what was
kill team? Is like the intercessor version, yeah.
Yeah. So, what was the decision point for you to bring them in? Because you didn't have them at Utah.
I did not. No. So the thing that they got swapped out for, and the thing that I found was I was running the Talon Strike Storm Speeder. So I wanted the +1 to wound against monsters and vehicles. One of Deathwatch's quote unquote worst matchups is Knights. Like somebody runs triple Gatling to spoiler with a Great Unclean one. Like my Melta can only get to strength 11. I really need the +1 to wound, especially into Great Unclean ones, especially into Big Knights, especially into all that stuff. Like it's nice to have that efficiency. And prior to that point, I was terrified because Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights were dominating the meta. They were everywhere. They were at the top tables. They're the bottom tables. Lane and I talk about like mid-table bullies a lot because it's one of the things that you have to be able to break through to get to the top level. Thankfully, I played the Knights matchup both ways, Chaos and Imperial, multiple times before going to LVO. The thing that I found was, hey, I can usually outskill and outscore the majority of Knights players, and I just have to kind of be able to commit into killing a big Knight when it exposes itself. It exposes it, I gotta kill it. I can do it with one Indominus kill team, a grenade, and some extra little bit of shooting. And that can usually bring down a big Knight as long as they don't get crazy with like 4-up involves if it's a Lancer or 5-ups if it's anything else. So as Knights got kind of knocked down a little bit on both sides, right? I expected there to be less Knights players, especially towards the top of the meta. What I did expect to see a lot of was Eldari. I knew the best players were going to be running it. I knew it was going to be everywhere, and I knew even into an average player's like game style or play style, it was going to be a problem for me. And one of the things that Deathwatch struggles with, and this is like in terms of identifying what your army is capable of, is my bricks are so expensive. Like the Indominus bricks are so expensive. The Fortis bricks are so expensive. And to trade, I cannot give them up. Like I can't do it because if I lose like an Indominus brick early or a Fortis brick early, or even my Terminators early, I find myself in a position where I'm chasing the game at that point. What I got out of dropping the Talon Strike, and then a couple other little pieces, I was able to pick up 2 combi weapon lieutenants, both Fortis kill teams, and I was able to keep one of my Deathwatch Terminator squads, which are so critically important. Honestly, if I had the capabilities, I'd probably run 3 of them. I like them so much. But that made that matchup, which I considered to be a harder matchup into the top tier players, to bring it back more to even. And when we talk about playing some of the best players in the world, like if I was taking an unoptimized list for that matchup, and we're even skill or their skill is above mine, I'm not putting myself in a position to win. So it was a gamble, I guess. Not really. Like I expected Knights to be less, but it was an evaluation towards what I expected to be my biggest issue and most plentiful opponent.
Yeah, I also thought Knights weren't gonna be around a lot. I played them twice at LVO, and at Nova, I was ready for him. I was like, please use your Titanic keyword, dude. I don't even care. And I got them round 1, and in a weird way of like, the whole psychological stuff we were talking about, I totally whiffed on one of my Vindicators with Abaddon, crit 5s, all the things, totally whiffed. And I think, well, what I'm pretty sure happened was he was like, oh, this army can't do shit. So he puts 2 Knights out, turn 2, and then just everything turned on. Like the dice went my way. The Vindicators were not killing themselves like they normally do. And like I killed 3 bigs by 3, and he was just like, damn. But I pulled a lot of. I felt LVO was going to be much more like space, like MEQ, which it was a ton of Space Marines. But I ran across this 20-year-old kid. He's running a pretty decent Imperial Knights list and completely bodied me. And I was like, dang. But then I got them day 2 and I was like, all right, this is not happening again. But now I'm locked into the tools that I have. So I kind of had to do like a mental kind of shuffle in my head of like, okay, like we know what happened yesterday. I'm looking at the list. I'm like, all right, he has a Lancer. All right, I have to deal with that when the time comes. It depends on if he shoves it down my throat or not. And then I was able to take the win from there, reevaluating the tools that I have. But Lane, so like what were there any, how long you've been playing your lists? Because I know you've been talking about the Bulgarins since I've been watching your channel.
I mean, when the Codex came out, I tried some other stuff and quickly realized, even though I can't order them anymore, even though you can't do all these tricks with Bulgarin, even when they were 220, they're still just worth it for my playstyle. I've been playing this since like last we went to Dallas for the teams event they had down there when it was Champs Cup. And that's kind of when I went into 18 Bulgarin, and I'm just like, I'm throwing this in your face. What are you going to do about it? So I've basically been playing this style for about a year. This list I've been playing since Rocky Mountain Open, which was in March, basically. I mean, you tweak some trash based off points, but like, it's pretty much just been 3 Dorns, 12 Bulgarin, and it's just the same old thing. And you run combined arms. I don't care if you're a monster. I don't care if you're Marines. Dorns are flat 3 damage. We'll bring you down. When we were in Utah, I overwatched a Bloodthirster and left him on 2 wounds from full health. Like, you can pop off. It's ridiculous. And I never get tired of hearing how much people hate Bulgarin, so I'm just going to keep running them. So
that is awesome.
So I mean, seeing you guys, we obviously saw you right at the end of LVO, so literally right before. We didn't play did you guys play the RCT on Sunday? Okay, he's like, fuck no. 6 games is enough.
Not a chance. We were toast, man. We were so done.
We used to do the RCT every year, but we were so fried, so we just fucking walked around Fremont, all that stuff. It was super awesome. We stayed up like super late that night. We were like, hey, let's just drink. Fuck it, LVO's over. What would you say is the reflection? Was this your first LVO you guys went to, or second?
Second for me.
Okay.
Those are my third.
Okay.
Yeah,
so what was
third.
your reflection of this LV? Because this was way different compared to all the other LVOs. And I know FLG has been taking a lot of flack this year with how much shit has been going on. But with this LVO, what do you think your reflection was? Like, don't hold back. It's obviously our podcast. But like, what stood out to you with this LVO compared to other LVOs? And what do you think about next year?
Yeah, so I'll preface this the same way we did when we talked about it, when Lane and I spoke about it. I think feedback is super important. 100%. I think for the sake of our hobby and the sake of the health of this hobby, like, we spend a lot of time, money, like, Lane and I, we do this and you guys do this because you love the hobby and it's something that you really enjoy. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do, is we want to see the hobby continue to grow. We gave a bunch of feedback, but overall, I was disappointed in this year's LVO. The player count doesn't really matter to me. Like, yeah, it's a change of venue and it's a change of date. I have no problem saying, like, yeah, we're going to see a drop-off for the number of people for an event. I mean, what was it, like 600 people? That's still an incredible, super major.
Still huge.
Yeah, absolutely. People coming from all over the world and flying in to play in a tournament like this. So I have no problem, like, with any of those things. My issue come down to like the organization of the event, the utilization of the new space, and then the effectiveness of the mission, layout, and terrain. For me, those are probably the things that I care about most, because overall, in terms of execution, LVO previous years, like, you had Games Workshop, they would put on their show and they would show like all the new models that were coming, and you felt like like I felt like an exclusive member because I had to see it first before anyone else, and that was like so exciting because you're like, man, I really hope my army gets a new model, or look how cool these models are that are coming out. Like it means a lot to be at LVO and to get shown something that like the rest of the community will see, but because we went, we got to see something cool and new. So not being a part of any of that. There was no real pomp and circumstance. It kind of just felt like another super major where it's just like come in, show up, play your games. They didn't have announcements at the beginning. They didn't have anything going in terms of like pomp and circumstance of the event itself. And overall, that was definitely disappointing because, as you guys, I'm sure, feel like you pay a lot of money. You guys are coming from the East Coast. Lane and I, we were coming from like Denver, so our flight isn't nearly as bad as y'all's coming from Philly. So I want that event to be like the culmination and what should feel like, man, that was so worth it. The games were great. They put on a great show. They did all these things. I like the new venue. I think it was fine. Little technical things, but everything was in the same space. The vendor hall was in the same space. We gave some criticism regarding like when the vendor hall was open, because I don't know if y'all realize this, but it didn't open until 10 o'clock and it ended at 6, and we were playing from 8 to 8 pretty much. So like, when did we have time to go to the vendor hall? And we had friends that had come to sell stuff there. And I know they would have preferred to have as much access to the players because we are degenerates with our money. So we'll spend it on anything. If you tell me it's 40K themed, there's a high probability I'm going to buy it. So I would definitely like to see that. But then the main thing is like the terrain. I am of the firm belief, and Lane and I talk about this often because he supplies terrain for all his tournaments, and he's in the process of building all our terrain for the teams tournament coming up. And he does that on his own, but he and I both agree, like, I want clear, sharp terrain that is easily accessible, that is easily distinguishable, and I want it the same on every single table. Like, I don't want there to be differences. I don't want there to be any of those things. And then also, I think it's insane to run the same layout 3 games in a row and then do the same thing the following day of the same layout, the same deployment zone 3 days in a row. Like, you can have the terrain be the same, but you really need to change. Like, it shouldn't just be hammer and anvil and then search and destroy 3 times, because I don't think that's enough variation for a GT of that level.
What about you, Lane?
No, I think Phil hit pretty much everything we talked about in our kind of critique video. The other thing, I mean, I agree. While he's talking about the terrain, I will happily, as a guard player, play hammer and anvil layout 1 all day long if you let me. But you shouldn't let me. Like, that should just not be an option, right? You go stand in the middle of the table. Great, that sounds like a fun time. Let's do it. And that's the big thing, right? Is like some actual, what is going to be a balanced event, and one of those things it's really going to make it feel like you could maybe have a favorable round here, but not so favorable there, because it's actually a little bit of variation and a little bit more random mixed within. One of the things, I don't know if it's quite as feasible for them to do it at their events, but any of our local events, we just have 3 different layouts, and they just alternate throughout the tables all the way down. And that way it's variety the entire weekend. You don't reset them ever. They're that way the entire event, or at least for entire days. And then as you play the missions, you just play, and there's just built-in variety and randomness. I know some players don't like that, but I do think that is something they should consider. And then the last thing I'll do is actually give them some praise on the tables. Not being end to end to end on tables and being spaced out was great. That was fantastic. Loved being able to walk fully around a table. Would recommend they try to keep that up if they can. And then the only other thing, I guess, would be like, they needed to have a stage and have some of the pomp that Phil was talking about, but like, put us on that front side of LVO, put us where it's open higher and stuff, so you could actually have a big screen or something up there and really see. We were kind of underneath where all that ventilation and stuff and all those pillars were, and it just didn't really have great line of sight and stuff. So I just shuffled some stuff around, but I mean, it was still a great event. We still did well. Can't complain more than that. Excited to see what they do moving forward, I guess.
Go ahead, Derek.
So I feel like the terrain has been an issue every single year, like ever since they did a player place terrain. Like it's just, if you're gonna run a GT that size, like they, to give them credit, they were literally playing, like setting up for 1,000 people. Like it's a lot that goes into it. I don't know how many people work for them, but there was a guy walking around on day 2 with the 1L that you have to like have opposite, but they didn't set up for that, right? So like every table was set up for the 1L, but then the mission package called for the other L, like the opposite direction. So like making sure you have options the day prior, like even just set it under the table. Like, hey, day 2, the terrain is under the table. You can literally just swap it out and do it. Like Games Workshop is working their ass off to make it simplified, so that way you don't have to think. Like every layout's this. The rectangles are great. No player place anymore. All that simplified. And I like your idea where every day it could be the same layout, like layout 1, but the terrain is different, or the layouts are different. Like layout, search and destroy, crucible battle, all that stuff is different every single time. Because we're not stupid. We're 40k players. We know how to set up terrain in like 3 seconds. Not terrain, but like the deployment. I either put my dice this way or I put my dice this way. Like it's not that hard. So knowing that ahead of time, it makes it more not random, but more enjoyable that you're getting 3 different games in and not the same game. Because some people, like, they don't prepare as much as we do going into the GT. So if you suck at Hammer and Anvil, you're going to have 3 terrible games. Like, you're not going to enjoy your day at all. And what they're really trying to do is have player enjoyment every time they go to a GT, that they're not really going to see that. So if they go to one LVO and, like, they see this shit and, like, they have to, like, use terrain that they're not supposed to be using, it's not fair. Like I heard a lot of people like, I'm not going to go back because like it just wasn't what I'm used to or whatever. So that was one thing. The vendors, I feel like that comes up every year as well. Like I'd like to see the vendors. I'm not a hobby guy, but I'd like to see what options are out there. If somebody has like a really cool new thing that they have that helps with widgets, I might go look into it and fucking buy it. But I don't have a chance because it's always closed and I'm competitive and I'm playing 40k. So the hours should definitely be open. Like have an extra hour for the vendor or start later or like end later, whatever it may be. But I feel like that's every year. So they should definitely update the fucking vendors, because I'm going to a GT not just for the games, but to like check out what the hell they have to sell there as well. Because there's a lot of new vendors I've never seen before. There was a chocolate vendor. I didn't get any fucking chocolates. Like I wanted to go buy some chocolates there, but I didn't have time to go up and buy the chocolates. Sunday options are always good. Like this is the first GT that there wasn't something on Sunday. It was just Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday was like if you wanted an RTT, like maybe have something scheduled like paint classes, whatever on Sunday, so that way you can actually go enjoy it on Sunday. If you don't make it to the top 8, because what 900 or 560 people don't make it to top 8, so that's a lot of people that can go enjoy Sundays. And then they did 15. I don't know if you guys noticed this. They did 15 minutes extra on day 1, but not day 2. Did you guys notice that? I thought that was awesome. Yep. I told Mike, I was like, this is fucking great. Like, we get to go to our table, we get to bullshit, we get to like hang out, like talk a little bit, go over our armies, and then start the game. I hate games where like you have to go to the table, set up, talk, like, and you're starting an hour and 15 minutes in. So if you didn't practice an hour and 10 minute games prior to the GT, you're not going to finish the game in an hour and 10 minutes. So like having that extra 15 minutes was huge. So that was a huge positive on day 1 compared to day 2. And then the stage was really cool, what you said, like having, like make LVO feel like LVO, feel like the best tournament to go to. So that way people want to go to every single, like they look forward to it every single year. And this year it didn't feel like that way. Last year it did. This year it was like another GT that you just pay all this money to go to and just, hey. Mike, do you know the coins, like the really cool collectible coins? Their excuse was it costs more to travel with. That was that, and I looked forward to it. I was like, dude, this gold coin, I have all of them up on my shelf right now. Like that is cool to have. Like, hey, I went to 25 LVO. This gold coin I'm never gonna get again. But now I have a 5-cent poker chip that is probably gonna get lost somewhere that I don't even care about. You know, little shit like that. I don't know if it's just me, but I like collecting that shit.
I feel the same way about the coin. Like I wanted it so bad, and I was like actually really disappointed because I expected I was waiting around like round 5. I was like, oh yeah, they're about to walk around right now with the coins, and I'm like, I'm waiting for it, and I'm looking around, and no one's really like the judges aren't walking around, no one's really doing anything. I'm like, is this really what it is? Like I'm not gonna get anything. The pins are cool. I mean, I don't mind. Get rid of the pin. I'll take. Get rid of the pin. I'll take.
Get rid of the pin and magnet. I'll buy a fucking magnet if I want a magnet.
I don't even want that. Like, just give me the coin. That's
Yes.
all I really care about.
Yes.
Because that's what I can use like on the table. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I totally agree. Like, it sounds pedantic, but I like the coin.
Yeah, no, because I heard you guys. I watched your LVO recap, and we were just worn out Saturday night. We ended up at the ice bar near the check-in at the Golden Nugget, and Jake Jacobson walks by, and then so we ended up just hanging out with him and the Glacier Geek dude. Lost a ton of weight. He looks great. So we're just shooting the shit, and I was like, Jake, what's up with the coin, dude? Like, this is my 5th LVO. I carry your damn coins everywhere I go because you used to give out like the prizes and stuff, and like, yo, where's my coin? And he was just like, look, logistics, shipping weight. And I was like, dude, I get it, but like that was one cool thing that like set apart LVO and FLG in general. Than other tournaments. Like last year, we didn't even know that they give you prizes based off of how many coins you have until we went to LSO, and he was like, yo, where are your coins? I was like, they're in my bag. Why? And he's like, dude, they, you can get like a shirt or like a whatever. I ended up buying 2 laser thing or getting 2 my goodness,
the laser lines.
Laser lines. And anyway, we're like, dude, what's up with this? And then we brought up the same thing, like, dude, where's the Terminator? Like, I send a picture to my kids every year. They're probably going to start going with me next time. But I'm like, dude, where's the Terminator? And there were some logistical issues. And, I will say, like, I was glad to have that conversation with him, and he was very transparent. And what I got from it was like, he was definitely making all the effort to make it, I don't want to say what it was, because it is going to turn into something else, right? And I did agree that in previous LVOs where all the vendors it was like they're on another planet across the hall at the Rio. So it was cool in the same hall, but like you said, like the hours sucked. One of our teammates, he had a ticket, but he was going through life issues or whatever. So he ended up just coming to hang out instead of playing. He bought one of the play on tabletop dice trays. And one of my buddies had one, and I couldn't find it online. And I saw him walking up with it. I was like, hey, here's my credit card. Go buy me one right now, like round 5. So like, even for me, and I'm a hobby nerd, like I bought new brushes and paints and shit last year, just like walking around, and I'm like testing stuff out, but like didn't really have an opportunity to do that this year. And then the mission pack. So one nice thing was there wasn't any of the sisters terrain with that stupid octagon thing. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, but like Derek was saying, like missing L's, and I'm playing a night player. So like that is very important for me, not so much for him, but like I need to know where these L's are. I ended up just using dice, and I just put dice. I'm like, hey, you good with this? He's like, yep. So we just, had to make our own terrain. And it's like, I'm spending $1,500 total package for this whole thing. Like, dude, I shouldn't have to use dice to do this.
Well, imagine, Mike, how much time you spent practicing as well. Like, we preach all the time, practice the terrain layouts, practice all this, and you get there and it's not what you practice. Like, they literally said in the packet, hey, you're gonna have layout 1, yada yada, and then you get there and it's the L's are backwards. And you have to put your shit upside down, so that way it's not a good experience at all. Luckily there was a judge walking around. We were on the top tables where like he had an extra piece for us, but not everybody has that. So you have to fucking use dice. Like that's not what we're paying for. Like it can't be that hard to get an extra L opposite way and just put it on the table. And we'll do it ourselves.
We got told that, so like round 2, when I was setting up the new layout, we got told, hey, it's in the player pack. You actually have to do it the opposite way. Like, I was like, what do you mean we have to do it the opposite way? Like, then it's not layout 1 anymore, whatever day 2 was. I was like, then it's not layout 1 anymore. He goes, yeah, but you're on the orc layout, so you have to flip it and go the other way. And I'm like, I usually don't get frustrated with things like that, but I'm like, Lane is the TO. I'm super appreciative of him, and we have the Fight Club group here that runs like RMO and FLG comes into town. We have huge GTs and stuff like that. It's like I don't think I've ever actually experienced that where somebody tells me that like my table is going to be different because of the terrain that we have. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah, that for me that can't happen. That's like non-negotiable. Like,
and that's why I feel like what Lane said, where like some GTs that we go to, it's layout 1, layout 6, so you don't know which layout you're gonna get. I feel like that could be somewhat of a disadvantage because like if we're all playing the same layout, it's all fair. But if I'm playing layout 6 and I suck at layout 6 and my really good opponent over there, who me and him are rivals, are playing layout 1 all fucking day, that's bullshit, right? Like I want the same layout that he has. So as long as all the layouts are the same and the terrain's the same, it's even. I love the different options of the different search and destroy, all that stuff. That's cool. But I feel like everybody at a GT this setting, you told us what we're going to get. We're going to get layout 1 with this terrain, and then we get there, and it's not that terrain.
Yeah.
Just wasted all that money. Yep. But
sweet.
Yeah, go Mike.
Anything else about LVO?
check out your video, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll just end it with like, I want LVO to be successful.
Yes.
I want GTs in the US to be the like pinnacle of 40K, competitive 40K. I want it to continue to be the one place that if you don't show up to LVO and you're not in the top 16 or top 50 or whatever the case is like, hey, you haven't proven yourself until you've done those things. And that's what it's been in the past. Like LVOs in the past, like, holy shit, when the top 16, the shadow round got announced, people were like, holy shit, like those are incredible players. And I want it to continue to be that. But to do those things, you've got to put on a show. You've got to make it worth your while to come because my concern is like, hey, if you fall short of an event, you're going to have to work pretty hard to gain back that credibility for those things. And, I know there's a bunch of tournament organizers that are looking to compete for that stuff. Do not tell me that Green Banner is not going to try to do the same thing. Like, they have definitely stepped up their game. We've gone to a few of their tournaments. They've done an incredible job. FLG in the past has come to Denver. They've done an incredible job. But as we continue to grow and develop, those things are going to happen. You're going to have competitives. And I want to see LVO be successful because I've always enjoyed it. It's just like this year, it just missed the mark. So you got to work pretty hard to gain that credibility back.
I think you said a lot of good things, but with my past experiences when I first started, I feel like you almost want to be, I don't know if it's just me, but like you want to be like noticed as like a top player. Like when you have to find out your top 16 by updating an app every 30 seconds and be like, oh, I guess I made top 16. Nobody fucking knows. They don't make any announcement whatsoever. That nobody knows. Like you want to hear names. You want to hear like Mark Hurdle, TJ, like all these like top people, and you're starting to recognize like, oh shit, like these are the top guys in top 16. But like they don't really. I feel like back in the day they used to, like when like the beginning Art of War guys, like when they were like 40K, they had these big like chainsaws and like everything was like announced everywhere, like the big screen, like everybody was like cheering, like there was no cheering, no crowd, no nothing. So I feel like if we're ever going to get to an AA sports type game, it has to involve that at these big events that you're going to and try to get top 16 or top 8. If they even just have a simple speaker like they did at ACO, they were announcing like different stuff. But if they do that at LVO, like, hey, top 16 is boom, 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 and number 1, boom, and then like you like shit like that. So that'll, I feel like, be more bigger at like a big events like LVO. Like it'll make people, I don't know, come together more, cheer more, know people's names more, get people out there. I feel like that would be a really good idea.
Yeah, instead it was a dude standing on a chair with 30 guys who were kind of in the running, just like huddled around him. Like that was it.
Like, am I in it or not? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't even know when the rounds were starting. You're just sitting there, and then
oh, dude, yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I guess
they updated it. Yeah. So dumb.
Yeah, and I want the people, like, you do a lot of work. If you get top 16, I want you to get recognized. I want everyone to know your name. I want them to know the army that you're running. I want like, I don't care. Throw their picture up there and be like, or have the live stream going for the tournament itself, and then have your announcer, your narrator, have them like do something real, because you already have the stream going. Just have have that, right? But you're right, absolutely. If we want to pop in circumstance, if we want Warhammer, I don't even care. Like the like the sports level of like what League of Legends and all that stuff. If it gets to that, great, absolutely. But even just for quality of like player enjoyment, you know, it needs to get to that level for me, for like LVO, for major events like that.
Yeah. It's the small things that lead to the big things. Like doing the small things that, like, if you listen to players, like Jake is doing really well at listening to the players, because like we sat down with him for 2 hours the one night, and like he just literally took everything in, and then when he said, he's like, "That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea." Like he was really listening, and he took on this entire monster like a couple months ago. So like he's like, "Hey, here you go. You're the leader," you know. So like he has to literally control all of this in like a couple months. Wait, I have to do a second LVO this year? Fuck. And then like, you know, organize it. So I'm sure all of our feedback is going to go to him, and like he's just going to make it better next year. But yeah, Jake's a great dude. Talking with him.
Yeah, so with LVO shifting to before Worlds, which if you didn't know, that was the whole reason that LVO shifted, and then there's going to be 1 year, which this was the year where it happened twice. So Worlds ending the ITC season. So I mean, that all makes sense. So Derek, you're going to Worlds. What have you updated and changed based off of your lessons at LVO, getting ready for Worlds with Death Guard?
So Worlds is kind of like a different animal. You're playing 4-hour rounds with no clock, so you only playing 2 games a day. It's a completely different mindset and everything. So when you play, you get done by like 4. You're like, wait, I can go to dinner at a normal time? This is insane. So it is really cool. It's probably one of the best experiences I've had in 40K is Worlds in general. My first year was last year. That was their second Worlds. This is their third Worlds, and they're really trying to make it like the pinnacle of 40K. That'll probably like lead into the EA stuff is Worlds. People fly from all over the world. I met people from Japan, Mexico. Like they're all coming up and like talking to you and stuff. But Worlds, if you can get there, it is worth like 10 times LVO and all these big GTs. Like it is something you really, really want to strive for, and I feel like they're doing really good at making it better and better every single year. I'm super excited about going to it this year. I lucked out last year. Their top 16, they got a free invite this year, so I went into it like, shit, I don't have to fight for a golden ticket this year to go. That's awesome. So then I can run Kroot, I can run fucking Night Lords, I can do whatever the hell I want this year and go ham, whatever. But yeah, I think Worlds, me getting ready for it, I'm in the grind now. I wasn't in the grind going before LVO. Like LVO, I had a shit showing because I ran. When people play Death Guard, once you play Death Guard, you kind of know what Death Guard do, and Death Guard had been out long enough that people know what to do against them. Like when they first came out, dominated. Like you couldn't stop 6-inch charges, you couldn't stop sustain lethal, all that shit. Now that people know what to do, like, oh, I just have to throw my 70-point unit 12 inches forward, and you can't bring in your 260-point Death Shroud unit. Oh, that's it? Okay, cool. Let me just do that. So now people know how to like beat Death Guard. So it was a big eye-opening experience for me at LVO that like if you can't clear screens turn 1 with Death Guard, you're fucked. Like you're gonna lose 50% of the matches, which would happen to me. Like the one Tau player I played, his 2 infiltrating scouting dudes lived on the bottom objective, which denied the entire bottom part of the board. So they lived, spawn charged in, couldn't kill him, whatever. So that lost that game pretty hard. And then the last game against Sisters, his turn 1 kill team moved up, charged me, and they lived. So they literally blocked out the entire bot. So that's what I realized going into Worlds is I need to change my list to clear screens turn 1, so that way my Death Shroud can then come down and charge and do whatever they need to do. So that was a big eye-opening. So me getting ready for Worlds is really just practicing turn 1, cleaning screens and starting most of my shit on the table, so that way if I start 1 or 2 things off the table, they're not there to clear the screens. So that was the biggest thing I learned. But Worlds, preparing for it is knowing that you're going to go against the best of the best. They're not going to fuck up. They're not going to redeploy bad. They're not going to do dumb stuff. Like you're literally playing the final game of a GT every single game, which also is good because you're going to play players like us where we are the same as you, where we understand intent. Like having fun, reading people. Like, you're going to play people that are the same level and skill set as you and also have the same emotional intelligence and skill as you. So every game I played last Worlds was one of the best games and most fun games I've had at any GT out there. Sometimes you match up against a turd and like just not have a fun game, no emotional intelligence whatsoever. At Worlds, not like that at all. I had a guy who was from somewhere. He brought an interpreter with him who dressed up as like a big shark, and was like one of the best fucking games I've ever played. And I was just literally playing with him while he was interpreting with the other guy like the entire time. Like, it was so cool. So if I had to say anything about Worlds, is that is a GT that you really want to try and get to, because you're going to play the same people that you are at the top level. So I think Worlds is one of the best things. So if you can get there. It's super fun. It's definitely worth it. So Worlds is great.
Is that what? Did you guys do Worlds last year?
No. We had a few guys in our community go. Lane and I were not fortunate enough. I put in a really good run this year. I traveled to a few extra tournaments, got some gold tickets, ended with quite a few 5-1s with a few opportunities to get one. It happens. I think Art War said it best. Like, there is no such thing as a consistent 6-0 player. And I played in the final of 3 GTs and lost all 3 of them with the gold ticket on the line. And it happens, right? Like, I can't be disappointed with that, right? Like, I played as capable as I was. We make mistakes, we do those things, and we move on. At the end of the day, I'm very happy to play 40K. And I'm very thankful that I have the time to go do those things. And I'll have the time this coming year to go after another golden ticket, and I will get my ticket because I was just talking to Lane the other day. I don't usually say things like that, but we've definitely increased our ELO and our ITC points, and Lane just broke in, I think, top 7, right, Lane, for guard, top 11.
I'm top 11. You're Mr. Top 100 US ELO now over here. So
Give that.
Nice. Congrats, man.
Nice.
Thank you. So it's definitely shown, and I think this channel, like our channel, has really helped, and all the free resources that are out there. So we've both been grinding because that's something that we care about. But at the end of the day, like, what matters to me more is, like, I have good games of 40K. I would love to go to Worlds, and I will have an opportunity at some point, but it comes down to, like, hey, right place, right time, right army, right matchups, right pairings, all those things. So I will continue to play the best I can and continue to improve, and hopefully, either Lane and I will have a chance this upcoming year. I think we will.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big actual things is, like, we've talked a lot about the skill of our meta and just here in Denver, like the front range, and there's no available golden tickets except for RMO, the FLG runs. And, like, as soon as that gets righted, there's going to be a lot of spicy players from our region that make it to Worlds, because there's just one ticket that you can get without, like, having to fly or travel super, super far to get. And I know Roddy, our local Denver TO, he's working on trying to get that set up, and once he does, man, it's gonna be a lot of Denver players doing really well at Worlds, man. I'm confident.
It's definitely growing. Like, the first year it was 200 players, last year it was almost 400 players, this year it's going to be even more. So, like, they're going to keep growing, and the local meta, like your guys' meta, sounds just like our meta, where like everybody that you play could be a golden ticket winner. Like, it is insane. So hopefully that the local GTs that you guys go to, 50, 60, 70 players, they should have a golden ticket available to go. And my suggestion is, like, just go to everything that has a golden ticket, and you might get 5-1 and then get handed it because you were like 3rd or 4th place, but like the first 2 people might have already had one, so then you get a golden ticket to then go. Like, I had a buddy that I actually met there last year. He was in that situation. The first 5 people had golden tickets, so he got a golden ticket and got to go for like just joining 40K. Like, it was really cool. So
yeah, it's you guys bring up a super interesting point when we talk about the meta in general. And we talked about the stuff you kind of see worldwide, right? And Trevi does a great job at that, and some other channels do as well. And then it's also all the variables that you talked about, Phil, where it is also, well, what is your local meta? And depending on where you are in the country, like, the Northeast is brutal, and it sounds similar to yours, right? Like, I go to an RTT, and like Derek's there. We go to any local GT around here, and like it's TJ, it's Matt Laura, it's Mark Hurdle, it's you know, and like you're just like, my goodness, dude. You know, I know Florida has like a pretty aggressive, you know, meta as well, and then also the like the Texas scene versus like the California scene. I definitely want to come out to the Denver scene. But that is an interesting thing just about 40K, where like there are just these pockets of like brutal RTTs where yes, like you are supposed to just have fun and we're testing, but you're like, I'm testing against half of these people here are top 500 and 40K, or, you know, or they're top 30 in the East Coast, and you're just like, oh my gosh, dude, like the you know, it's, what was the furthest GT you went to try to accomplish your goal?
I went down to Texas and I went to Arizona. I went to Phoenix as well. So I went to Smite Club's GT and I went down to Texas. Me and a buddy of mine, Brett, who's the one I lost. So I went to Montana. So Brett beat me in Montana he beat me in Montana at the final table. And then he and I both went down to Texas, and he went 6-0 and I went 5-1. He got the golden ticket there. And then when I went down to Spike Club, I went 5-1 there. Lost a really close game into a Grey Knights player named Donovan. He was in top 8 or top 16 at LVO. So like, you know, I'm playing and losing tight games. Like Donovan was a 1-point loss. Him. So it's like one of those things that's just like, man, it's like right there. I can taste it. It is so close. But I did fly over the country. But my job kind of allows that. I'm in a position now where it's, you know, me and a dog, and it's really nice in that sense. So, you know, Lane and I are able to travel a lot for tournaments and stuff like that. So yeah, it's good.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely sounds like you guys are right there. I'm probably, my goal is to be next year where you guys are this year. So I think having those goals are important. Keeping it within the realistic point of view of, well, how much time can I, you know, dedicate, right? Also, what and not just in your practice, but like, well, what GTs? So like now I plan out, and Derek and I were just talking about this before we called you guys, like, you know, what GTs am I planning out for the year based off of life, wife, kids, you know, all the things. And then also, well, what are the GTs that I'm going to, right? Like you said something really interesting where you will also look up the players specifically at the GT prior, more so than the list that you're going to bring. It's expected that whatever they're going to bring is going to be optimized, so that really doesn't matter. But when I was at that Nova prep, I was looking up ELOs because it was an away games GT, and I think Away Games does a really good job of like all the simple things we talked about. Like all the terrain was exactly the same, looked great. There were dice trays at every table. There was objective markers at every table. I was like, wow, this is what I'm fucking paying for. And anyway, I'm looking up everyone's stuff, and it was like top 6 guy in Death Watch. And from watching you and then my son getting into it, I was like, I think I can take them. And then I looked up where he was in ITC. I was like, fuck, this is going to be a rough game. And like, it was a rough game, right? But again, keeping it within the perspective of, well, where is this player? Where should they be? And like where I am, you know, so kind of rolling, you know, not to sound silly, but rolling the dice sometimes when you come up to these players. And then definitely by location. So with kind of ending the, you know, with Worlds and the ITC season ending, and then moving into 2026, everyone, like the rumor mill is 11th edition is, I think they said summer-ish, maybe. What have you guys heard?
We've heard summer as well. A few of our guys are expecting that. Before we move on, I just want to say one thing. If you do want to come out to Denver, you are more than welcome. We'll put you on stream. We'll get you ready for a big tournament. We'll line it up with like RMO or one of these big GTs. All you got to do is ask. We can find a place for you out here, and you can come have a great time and get better at 40K.
That's great. I think 11th edition is definitely going to. I hope they don't change too much I think 10th edition is definitely a good addition to bring new players in, and they simplified a lot. So I hope 11th edition doesn't veer too much from that. I mean, I only came back in 9th, and 9th was cool. I kind of like got into it and like didn't know what the fuck I was getting into. I didn't know what detachments were, brotherhoods, like all these different things. And then 10th edition just simplified, like, all right, every detachment only has 6 strats. You know, you don't have to go through 30 different strats to try and figure out what's good and optimized. So hopefully 11th edition just tries to keep similar things to 10th edition, why it blew up so much. I hope that they keep that in 11th edition, is just simplify as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, I know that's been one of the rumors I have heard, is that supposedly like codexes are supposed to still be valid. You know, I don't know if that's true, but if that is, that's great news. I really don't want the game to revert back to we all each have our index and only one option.
Yeah.
Like I think you're going to lose a lot of ground that they've gained over the edition. So I'm hoping, you know, they at least keep that keep stuff viable and stuff. If they're like, well, this doesn't work anymore, you know, some of these detachments, you know, maybe don't work with some changes we made. All right, sure, cut some, but I don't see that being, you know, a huge issue. I agree. Keep it similar. The thing I would really also like to see is actual scheduling. You know, we did a lot of prep for Challengers Cup in Utah, the big teams event, and they had, you know, the big change, the big update dropped 3 weeks before, and there was this huge thing of, you know, all the captains had to vote. Do we accept it? Do we not? And stuff. I would just like it to be like, hey, you know, for a fact, these are the dates we're going to release updates. Like, just tell us for a full year in advance when those are going to come. Because as a TO, I want to be able to schedule and say, we will or we will not use certain rules. If there's emergency FAQs, we're probably going to use them. Other than that, we're following this release schedule. And then you avoid things like that where people are like, oh, well, it got accepted. Now I have to try to, you know, scrape together an army as a relatively new player who doesn't have, you know, a lot at their disposal. Like, I get that's a problem. So I think, you know, I know that's not really a gameplay or rules thing, but I think that's almost more important for, you know, talking about giving players quality events. You know, GW doesn't run events. We do as TOs. So help us do that as best we can for the players.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely fair. The other thing is, like, I would say, as someone who's played competitively through a few editions and seen plenty of stuff, you know, in Lane and I on our channel, and when we talk about these things, this has probably been the most balanced that I've seen 40K in a long time. We've had a few blips, like Mordaka, that was a problem. Like, everyone can agree. Like, I remember when that came out, and we had a few guys that were very experienced orc players, or even less experienced. Like, they just wanted to go win, you know, RMO or whatever the case. And I remember them coming up to me like, Phil, I'm sorry, man, this is not going to go well for you. And I'm not a bad player by any means. So for someone to tell me that, to be like, hey, you've actually just lost this game before the game started, like that is an awful feeling for someone who like prides themselves on like running close games. And they were right. They absolutely dumpstered me. It was not close. I was like, wow, that felt really bad. We've had a few blips of that, right? I think Death Guard, when it first came out, very, very oppressive in nature. Like, geez, nobody really looked at heavy blade launcher drones and said, yeah, those are priced appropriately. Death Guard Terminators, what can they think? Okay, we're gonna make them dirt cheap too. Like, and I'm glad they changed and updated those things, because from my level, right, like I do have to work harder to beat those opponents, excluding the Mordaka. That was like really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was awful.
Like, that was really bad. But when more Death came out, I was like, I Death Guard, and I would go into certain matchups, and it's just like, I'm sorry, there's literally nothing you could do. It was better than Mordaka, but like, geez, it was bad. It was bad for some players. It feels bad. And if we talk about like bringing new people into the hobby, especially the tournament side, if I were to like set them down to a table, like, hey, you know, you're going into Death Guard or Mordaka, and they get absolutely like blitzed off the board, are we going to keep players that way? Are we going to want players coming back to the community if they feel like they go to their first tournament and they didn't even stand a chance, and it wasn't because their opponent did anything? They just hear, oh, that army has so many better rules than what my army has, and it's not even close. Besides those blips, I do think 10th edition has done really well. So my concern is in line with Lane's. Like, I want it to be as balanced as possible so we can bring more people into the hobby. So that way, you know, that one army that they have has a chance into everything in the meta. There have been times in previous editions where it's like, well, you're not running Eldar, so you're probably losing this, or you're not running like demons, you're probably losing this. So I just want to see it as balanced as possible, and I want everyone to be able to put their armory on the board and be confident with it. And that could be like a world of difference. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was telling Lane. No, I was telling Derek, sorry, right before you guys got on. So yesterday, no, it was Lane before you got on, Phil. While Lane was just building terrain all day, which we love those, hey, get everyone together, let's get some pizza and beers. We're just going to build terrain all day. And you're like, yes. But one of our sister teams, Dumpster Fire, they ran a beginner's RTT yesterday. And so he asked like a bunch of the players in the area, like, hey, can you come out and coach and kind of sit on the other side. So that was my first time doing that. And my son actually played. And that was really cool to see it from the other side, and not just the other side, but some of these people, this was their first 10th edition 40K game since like one guy, he was playing World Eaters from like 6th edition or something. And, everyone had a great time. But what was interesting was and we've said this multiple times, like, know the core rules, and just their understanding of the core rules. And it's like most simplest form, just as, like the picture shows for like charging, piling, consolidate, and all of that. Kind of watching that happen was pretty cool to see. And there was a night player, he just came back to the edition as well, and had knights from before. He was running Chaos Knights. I think he had like four bigs, one Lancer, and then a War Dog and some Nurglings. And I mean, he was kind of I had to explain every single one of his games what towering meant and the line of sight and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, I was talking to some of his opponents, and I'm like, look, like, you're just getting stat checked. And they're like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, you just don't have the tools to deal with this. And that's not necessarily your fault. And that's not necessarily his fault either. But like, this is also the toned down version of Knights right now. It's like 6 months ago, I mean, like, they were just running rampant and everyone's like, oh my goodness, dude. And, but like, as far as getting new people into the hobby, Lane, I know you're TOing and stuff. I thought that was a really cool thing, getting all the, there were 3 different, kind of senior guys of 3 different teams in the local area, and we're all working together to, help introduce 40K to everyone. He ended up losing to Necrons, so that was cool, but he was also running Josh Campbell's list. Again, newer player, now he's just doing his research, right? We talked about prepping beforehand. And so when I saw that matchup, I was like, I think you can take this. And I forget the Necron player's name. He's like, I don't know, man. Look at those big robots. And hey, at the end of the day, if you put 12 warriors on a objective and there's a Lancer on there and he doesn't have enough tax, and you just bring those dudes back, like, oh my gosh, I win, right? Like, so that was pretty cool to see. And then with the World Eaters players talking about slingshot charges, and then also basing like, how much information am I going to give? Not from a like, I'm telling you how to win, but like, I don't want to blow your mind to the point where you're just like, okay, I don't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. So there was a situation where he was playing like the 40 Berserker lists. My son, no, it was like 60 Berserkers. It was like 3 squads of 20. It was insane. But my son playing Blood Angels actually beat him. And then we were just talking about the World Eaters Blood Angels kind of matchup, where they basically do the same thing, but the Blood Angels player had a way better shooting assets, so able to kind of hit down some other things, and then asking the right questions, like, explain to me how this blood surge works. And my son's like, oh, so if I just stay 9.1 inches away, I can just keep shooting you. And the World Eaters player is like, Yep. And so even from a very simplistic level, like asking the right questions of, hey, walk me through this rules interaction. And then you're like, okay, cool. Like I understand. And now I can kind of come up with my, counter for it. So I'm with you guys for 11th edition. I hope they don't change like a ton. I'm not really butthurt about anything. I think it's in a good place. I think I agree with you as well. Like to go from what we have now back to everyone just gets one index. Like that was cool the first time it happened, right? Because that had never happened before. When I first got in the game, I'm playing the 8th edition CSM Codex in 9th edition, and I'm like, can I get 2 wounds on Space Marines? Can that happen sometime in this year? So I'm with you guys with all of that.
So huge shout out to Mastercrafted for joining us today. If you guys want to give a quick tidbit about like what you're working on real quick, and then we'll kind of like end it. But yeah, you guys, thanks for joining the podcast. Really appreciate you guys talking about, what's coming up and all that stuff. But yeah, give a quick shout out on what you guys are working on and your YouTube.
Yeah, so really appreciate it. Really appreciate you having us on. It was a pleasure to meet you both in person. Mastercrafted has definitely grown in this past 7 months. Ian and I actually decided to do a Mastercrafted channel at LVO, obviously not this most recent one, but the last one. So he and I had interacted a few times prior to that, but we both went to LVO together. We had a blast. We obviously have great chemistry with each other, so nothing to be bashful about. Lane and I have been confused for a married couple every once in a while with how much time we spend together.
I just want those Air Force bennies, bro. Give them to me already, okay?
I think people are just jealous at that point of our relationship, and that's okay. That's what I tell everyone. So after LVO, we were like, you know what? I think there's no such thing as too much content. We want to share as much information as possible. And for us in our communities, we have found that like people come up to us and ask so many questions. We're like, man, if we could just get this out to y'all, I know you will be a better player because of it. Because there is like, when I went into my first like top 100 player, it was like they were playing a different game than me.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
they like the way they understood the game, the decisions they made, and all this stuff. I was like, wow, like that's incredible. Like I would never have thought of doing those things. And I want to close that gap as much as possible. I want to every opponent I play into to be as good as possible, because not only does that make them better, it makes me as a player. And we want to continue to do that. So Mastercrafted, like that's what we're doing. Those layout videos, you're right. When you saw those have been some of our best performing videos. Strategic staging, that was a solo one that I did that I was just like, hey, put out video, like I'm gonna throw it out there. That has been our best video to date. And that's been incredible. But right now it's focused on we're going to continue to do those videos and stuff like that. But our streaming, as we talked about earlier, it has taken off. So Lane and I, we're going to keep it within our little studio that we have. And then that's going to be expanded to, we're going to start streaming a couple tournaments. So a couple tournaments in the local area. That setup we have is extremely portable, which is nice. So we'll be bringing it to locations and streaming tournaments. And then also we have a couple, I'd probably say some of the best painters that I've ever seen, that are part of our like Mastercrafted community, and they are going to start streaming on the Mastercrafted YouTube as well. So like those 3 things are coming up for us in terms of streaming, the videos that we're still doing, and then the painting aspect, the hobbying aspect of it, which I know some people really enjoy. So those things are on the horizon or have already started. So if that's something that interests you, we really appreciate the plug, and it's been a pleasure talking to you both.
Awesome, guys. Well, again, I appreciate it so much for joining. If you guys haven't checked them out already, go down, click on the link, subscribe to their channel. They got a ton of good content. It's a lot of the stuff that you already like on our channel, where it's teaching the new players the core rules, learning your army, play the best way you can. So check that out below. But yeah, I appreciate it. Keevil, anything else to add while we wrap this up?
What are you guys doing merch? Because I totally want to buy stickers because I like your logo, and
we are getting set up. We need to do some finalization for some like LLC stuff, and then we're working on getting a Patreon. That's one of the other things about the channel. We're not planning to really paywall anything. If you want to join the Patreon and buy merch, that's amazing, and that's really all we're ever going to ask. is kind of the way we're looking at it. So that's hopefully going to be up in the next month, I would say. We'll see, like hopefully end of the year at the latest, but we are working on it. I'm just trying to live and get 50 sets of terrain put together for this next week. And after we get through that, we'll focus on the next problem. But thanks again for having us on. And I am going to throw our little this is our motto in there. You know, don't forget that victory isn't given, it's forged, and it's forged right here on Mastercrafted. We hope to see you on our channel.
That's
yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, and stay dirty. All right, gents, thanks for clicking on the video. If you guys want to support the channel, go over some coaching options. Wait towards the end of the video. We'll go over all of this merch and the Patreon. But guys, I appreciate it, and let's go Dirtbag Nation. All right, guys, like I said, thanks for sticking towards the end. This is all of the merch. We have some options too. You guys can message me one-on-one on Discord if you guys are interested in any of these. We have some proxies that you guys have access to play in the game. We have the Cypher, which is badass. We have the Tech Priest, which usually has Grey Knight bits. We have the Phobos Librarian. We have the Phobos Lieutenant with Combi Weapon. We have the Caldus Assassin, which is one of the best prints we have. The old school Kodias, and now the new Lord of Contagion. You can't get this model anywhere unless you buy some really expensive thing, but the Lord of Contagion, awesome print. That is up for sale as well. The poker chips are great for sticky objectives. Those are coming in packs of 5. Then any of these stickers, usually we throw those in for really high orders, but if you guys want some stickers, you guys can get those as well. Now these widgets, they use them every single game. It's the 6-inch, 4-inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, 1-inch widgets. We are having a special on those. They're only $10. We do have upgraded ones as well with the black 40K Dirtbags logo. So if you guys are interested in any of those, message me. And then lastly, we just updated Rexar Laser's website. They do have laser lines. These are so rare in our community, it's crazy. And the ones that FLG have, they just die so fast. These are so strong, you can see them from across the room. They're insane, but Rexar Lasers are doing the Dirtbags logo on them because they are awesome sponsors of the channel. So head over to them in the description below. And they also have terrain pieces as well, which is if you use the code word Dirtbags in the checkout, you get free shipping on anything over $50. And now my favorite part of it is the merch store that we had set up for about a year now. It's doing very well. I love seeing these at tournaments. I love when you guys come up to me and you have the Dirtbag merch on. This is always updating. So if you guys don't have something, message me. We can always put a new logo up of something that you guys want to purchase. But we just upgraded a couple of the new Chaos stuff on here. But check out, like, they just look so cool. The red, white, and blue logos, they're on hats, they're on shirts. We have a bunch of different options and armies for you guys. You have the little Nurgling logo, which is sick. There's mugs, coffee mugs, which you can fit your whole hand in there, which is super clutch, and a bunch of the 40K Dirtbag logos as well. But like I said, if any stuff you want on here, message me. But this stuff is in the description below in all my videos. This is how you support us and rep the Dirtbags at your local tournaments. What is up, gents? 40K Dirtbags here. If you guys are interested in joining the Dirtbag Nation over at patreon.com, you get a bunch of perks. What we did in 2024 was we really expanded. I had traveled a ton and I played my ass off in 40K. Right now we're ranked #1 best player in the United States on ITC rankings. We were the #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world this year in 2024. 2 years ago, we got ranked #1 Grey Knight player in the world, and this year we're probably going to go into Death Guard, hopefully when the new Codex comes out, or Emperor's Children. But you guys, if you guys want that head coach or that coach always in your corner, just to ask questions, bounce ideas off, that's what the competitive Dirtbag and the Dirtbag Nation is all about. If you guys want to support the channel, you head over to patreon.com. You can join the Just a Car tab, which is $5 a month. You guys get access to the Discord Patreon tab. You have to be a patron to get into that Discord, and also I'm always there. All the other coaches are there. Basically, it's just such a good community over on Discord that you guys get specific access to it that only Patreons can get. If you guys want to bump that up, the competitive Dirtbag tier, you guys get to message me or another Grandmaster or another Dirtbag coach over the Dirtbag Nation to have unlimited questions, list ideas, list reviews, and bounce ideas off of. That's what having a coach in your corner is all about. If you guys want to bump up to the Grandmaster tier, that tier you get every perk under the sun. So basically you get access to Discord, you get one-on-one coaching, you get a call once a month if you guys would like to go over any RTTs coming up, any GTs coming up, any list reviews live over Discord chat, and also a special perk that Grandmasters get if you guys want any video suggestions like we do all the time with these table setups that we just upgraded thanks to the Patreons. You guys get suggestions or battle reports you want to see specifically played live by a coach or myself on the next battle report, or a live battle report coming up on the Patreon. So you guys get obviously first access to all the videos. We post them first on patreon.com, but there's just a ton of benefits to having a professional coach that plays this game all the time at the very, very high competitive level in your corner at all times. And that's really what the Dirtbag Nation is all about, getting you guys better at 40K, the basics, and being good in your community. So if you guys want to support the channel, I really appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you guys in 2024, 2025. I am super stoked for, super excited for. If we really want to get a bigger studio going, that is going to be my focus in 2025, is really growing the community on YouTube and Patreon specifically. So thank you so much for 2024, all my Patreons. If you guys are interested in joining and want that coach in your corner, head over to patreon.com and support the channel. Appreciate it.